With action. Tonim.
Thank you all for joining us tonight to help celebrate Yonatan Bar Mitzvah. It's my pleasure now to introduce Yonatan to say a few words.
HD, full HD, 1080, 1080p. Wi-Fi. It's nice. Oh yeah, it's good enough. It's a wide angle. Okay, go ahead.
I would like to thank you all for joining my family and me tonight to celebrate my bar mitzvah. As a bar mitzvah, I'm asked to join Klal Yisrael and be responsible for all the mitzvot. The main mitzvah that comes into my mind is Anachat Tefillin. The days of me showing up at Minyan and just offering up a siddur and davening are now over. I now spend most of my davening worrying about my shaliad sliding down my arm, whether my hair will be messed up when I remove my shalosh, and being terrified of what would happen if I lost my tefillin. When my father first started teaching me how to wear tefillin, what was supposed to be a nice father and son experience, ended up with me crying because I could not successfully wrap up the tefillin and put them away without the straps flying all over the place. The real challenge with tefillin, however, is not falling into the trap where the mitzvah gets boring and loses its meaning. We put on tefillin every single day except Shabbatot and Chagim. According to my brother Josh, when we put on tefillin, we're usually still half asleep and we're just thinking about something else. So how do we keep this important mitzvah session exciting? My father and I decided to look for some ideas concerning Anachat Tefillin that I can focus on each morning when I put them on. We discovered something very interesting that I would like to share with you guys tonight. When Bilam was not able to destroy the Jews by cursing them, he sent the Midianites to cause the Bnei Israel to sin. Bilam's plot was successful, and 22,000 Jews died in a plague as a result of their sin. We know that Midian had a very special power over Bnei Israel. No other nation was able to cause Bnei Israel to commit as many averot as Midian. It was no coincidence that the very last thing that Moshe had to do before his death was to take revenge and destroy Midian. After the war, the Chayalim were counted when they returned from the battle. And the Mefakdim told Moshe, "Lo nifkar mimeno ish." Not one of the Chayil was killed. But the Ramban explains this as follows. When Bnei Israel went out to fight Midian, it was both a physical and spiritual battle. Because Midian represented Ta'ava, temptation, there was a fear that the Chayalim, when actually dying in the battle, may be tempted to sin. According to the Ramban, when the Mefakdim said, "Lo nifkar mimeno ish," they meant that not one of the Chayalim committed an Avarah. There is an interesting midrash in Shir Hashirim that gives a reason for why. The midrash states that the soldiers were protected because when they put on tefillin, שלא הקדים אחד מהם תפילין של ראש ותפילין של יד. That not one of them ever put on tefillin shel rosh before the tefillin shel yad. My first reaction after learning this midrash was, that's very nice. But what about the other mitzvahs, like Shabbat, Kashrut, or Kriyat Shema? What is so special about the order in which we put on tefillin? Tefillin is referred to as an oath, a sign. It is a sign that we are an Am Nichal, and reminds us of our higher calling, both in terms of how we act individuals, as well as a people. To understand why the Midrash credits the success of the battle against Midian to putting the tefillin on in the proper order, we must understand the difference between the tefillin shel yad and the tefillin shel rosh. The shel yad, which we wear next to our heart, represents our taking this oath and making it part of ourselves. It is very personal. That is why in the Gemara in Menachot, when describing the shel yad, says, "Va'alecha le'ot v'lo la'achirim." It is a sign for us as individuals. It is not for others. That is why there is a covering box that goes on top of the shel yad. This covering box keeps the shel yad hidden and personal, and reminds us to be sure that we conduct ourselves as individuals in a proper way. The shel rosh is different. We wear it in our heads, right between our eyes, for all to see. It must be visible. Chazal says that the shel rosh represents the outward kedusha that is channeled from within. When a person is properly devoted to Torah and mitzvot and is living his life in a proper way, as represented by shel yad, then Baruch Olam Haaretz Shesam Hashem Nikra Alecha Ve'eru Mimecha. The Goyim will see our tefillin shel rosh and will fear us. Jewish Chayalim during the time of the Tanakh would actually go into battles with their tefillin on, and when the enemy would see the tefillin shel rosh, they'd be overcome with fear and run away. But that's only when one is living according to the ideas represented by the shel yad and the shel rosh. If there's only shel rosh and not shel yad, then the shel rosh has nothing which to draw its strength. A Jew cannot only focus on outward appearances, as represented by shel rosh, without the proper foundation of the shel yad. the Shariat must come first. So when the Midrash says, Shalom Din Lahan Men Tefillin Shalosh Mitfillin Shariat, it is teaching us that the soldiers that went out against Midian were all true tzaddikim that understood the power of having the Shariat in place before attempting to put on the Shalosh. That is why one is fundamental each. Not one was tempted to sin. But this is not to say that the Shariat is more important than the Shalosh. Both are equally important. It is not enough for a person to just work on mastering himself. He must try to influence others in a positive way as well. A proper balance must be achieved between both parts of our life, and we must always be aware of the close connection between the ideas represented by the Shariat and the Shalosh. This idea is clearly shown in the Gemara and Sotah. Before Bnei Yisrael would go out in the battles, the Kohen Gadol would go out among the Chalim and ask them if anyone had recently built a bayit or planted a keren or was recently married. If anyone said yes, they would be allowed to go home. The Kohen Gadol would give them one last chance to leave the battle. He would ask if anyone was afraid. This fear was fear of sin. The sin was Sakman Tfilah Tfilah Avera B'Yado, which means talking between Tfilah and Tefillin Shariat and Shalosh, which breaks the connection between the two. A Chayal who does this does not understand the basic meaning of Tefillin and is more likely to be Bal Avera with a greater chance of dying in the battle. A bar mitzvah boy such as me is in the middle of a very important transition from childhood to adulthood. This is a period of time when my primary focus is on building my own personal foundation, so the process of self-improvement never stops. As I get older, I will then have to take what I've built and go out into the world and make it a better place. But this can only be done by first building myself up. That is the lesson of Shalom Gdim Echad Mem Tefillin Shalosh and Tefillin Shariat. When I mentioned earlier how it is so critical to ensure that my daily Anachat Tefillin is kept meaningful, I cannot think of a more important thought to have in my mind each time I place my Shalosh and immediately after my Shariat. I must always strive to grow and become a better person. And if I do this properly and focus on this first, then as I grow older, I will be ready to be a contributing member of Klal Yisrael. There is no way that anyone can build a solid foundation without being surrounded with amazing, loving, supportive people. I know a foundation can only be built with amazing members. Bobby, Zaidi, Grandma, and Grandpa. I'm the luckiest boy to have in my life, whether it's in New York, Florida, or in Israel. The only thing I really miss from America is that I can see you guys whenever I want. Love you. To Hada, Uncle Mark, Yosef, Yehuda, Bracha, David, and Toby. Besides Shabbat, Thursday nights are my favorite, because that is when our families get together for pizza night. It is great being able to grow up with you guys, and I'm so lucky to have you all so close. Love you all. To Cecile and Uncle Bernie, and Eleanor and Jay, and Sylvie and Uncle Freddie, and Brad's cousin Sippy and Michael, Elliot and Shana, David and Sam. Thank you so much for making the effort to come and celebrate my bar mitzvah. It made it so much better. Thank you to our close friends, the Penn from New York. It means so much to me and my family that you came all the way to Brazil to celebrate my bar mitzvah. To Jim Leonard, thank you so much for being here. But next time, please be sure to bring your rest of your family, Colleen, Rachel, Rebecca, and my brother Louis. ועכשיו לחברים. מורה, תודה רבה שבאתם לחזק אותי את הבר מצווה. אתם החברים הכי טובים שיש. זה כל כך כיף לשחק איתכם, כדורסל, סיטי, הישרדות, חלקכם פוטבול, ועוד הרבה יותר דברים. תודה רבה. Now back to English. Josh, Tova, and Noah, I have one thing to tell you. You know that I am Mommy and Dad's favorite child. Thank you for accepting it and loving me anyway. You guys teach me so much, and I love it when people ask me if I'm the younger brother of any of you, because I'm so proud to have you as older siblings. Love you all. To my father, who my mother sometimes calls his fifth child, I would like to thank you for everything that you have done for me. It was great learning from you how to lay, daven, for my bar mitzvah. Thanks for always being my baseball buddy, football buddy, tennis buddy, ping pong buddy, chess buddy, and so many other buddies with me. I love you so much. To my mother, who my father sometimes calls his third parent. What can I say about someone who does so much for me? It is really hard to put into words. I cannot think of a single time that you weren't there for me. Besides being so kind, smart, caring, pretty, patient, and loving, you are most importantly a good cook, which is so important to a grown bar mitzvah boy like me. I love you so much. Thanks again for everybody for going to my bar mitzvah.